Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Treasure Light's Breakthrough Part 2 nail tutorial. I already dipped my nails twice, so I'm going to do the third time here on camera, and then we're going to get to smoothing them out and filing them down and painting them and all that good stuff. All right, so once again, I'm your host, Treasure Light. Thank you for joining me. And let's get this popping as we discuss something that I wanted to talk about today. And that is, last night we were talking when I was doing my nails about my estranged husband and the nonsense he put me through. But today I want to talk about what I learned from being with narcissists. And the good I was able to take away from the situations I was in. Yes, there's always a silver lining around every cloud, like they say. Sometimes you can't see it because the sun's not shining. But when the sun shines, when you've gotten to a point in your life where things seem a lot better, then you're able to notice the silver lining. All right, so let me turn this here to what I'm doing, and then we will continue. Sorry, my hand was in the way. I'm so sorry about that, guys. And we'll continue to talk, okay? So let me just adjust this a bit. There we are. All right. So let's get this popping, shall we? What did I take away from the narcissist behavior, and what I can now pick up on a lot easier to make my future possible relationships go better? And how it also helps me deal with the narcissist that's currently in my life, which is my mom. And what I took away from that was I'm able to notice things quicker. The behaviors, I can pick up on them much faster to avoid them. I can also determine whether or not it's something that I will be able to handle or something I need to just walk away from. Should I discuss the situation at the time when it's happening, or should I just walk away, cool myself down, and come back to it later? Things like that. So don't ever think that you don't get wisdom, even in those sad times, even in those hurtful times, even in those confusing times, when you don't know what's going on and you can't quite read it. But once you've been through it enough times, you can spot it from a mile away before you even get yourself completely involved in the situation. You can notice all the grooming behavior, all of the, the lovey-dovey overload from the very beginning and all that kind of thing. And I'll give you guys an example. Excuse me. And this just happened recently. And it's kind of funny because I was telling my mom about it. You guys know, I don't know if you know about those African scammers. I hate to have to say it that way, but that's what it is. They're from Africa. They scam you. They get on there. They basically love bomb the heck out of you, and everything that you like, they like. And, it's just like they're your maybe knight in shining armor, or the queen that you've been looking for all your life, or whatever the case may be. And once they grab, a hold of your heart, if they can get that far, and a lot of them do, because sometimes they know exactly, well, not sometimes, all the time, they know who to target. And as you guys see, just before I go on, as you see, I'm just dipping as I put the acrylic liquid. I keep calling this acrylic liquid when it's I keep calling it liquid acrylic when I should have been calling it acrylic liquid, because that might give people the impression that there is actually acrylic liquid out there, that you just buy in a bottle and pour it in there and then just rub it on your nails, and there's no such thing. You have to use a powder and you have to use the liquid. All right, so anyway, and you see, I just dip it and then that's it. All right, so, or should I say I smooth it on with the brush, and that also keeps my brush cleaner as well, because I let it dry in between. As you see, this hand that was already done has a chance to dry before I dust it off. And then while I'm dusting that side off, this side has a chance to dry. And I think the application is much smoother. It's a lot easier, especially if you do not know how to do acrylic and liquid, acrylic powder and liquid ratio. If you haven't gotten to that point where you're good at doing that at all, it's best to just dip. It's much faster. And I think, you know, I'm not trying to impress anybody with the skills. I just want my nails to look good. So I'm really not worried about if I can't put it on, you know, put the acrylic on the brush and then, you know, dip it into the liquid and get the right ratio and start building on my nails and all that kind of thing. That's not where I'm at right now. I want the nails to come out looking nice, which they're going to do. I want it, excuse me, to be a smooth application, which is going to be, and that's it. You know, it's nothing too tedious. That's another thing too, is to make things a lot simpler. And so that's exactly what I do. And do you see? Now we're going to do, that was the third coat. I'm going to let that dry for just a second, and then we're going to do a fourth coat, and then we're going to get to filing it, smoothing it out. Because once again, this is the reason, like I said, why I shaped them prior to putting the acrylic on, because as you can clearly see, there is going to be no need for me to do much shaping unless I changed my mind on how I want the shape to look, which I haven't. It's going to stay this way, and we'll just clean it up. And as you can see, it's also less waste of powder, because I know that they have to go on the sides and take the sides off. But if you don't get it on the sides of your nails, you pretty much don't have anything that you'll have to clean. And some people like to have that small hump here. They call that to fortify the nail. But for me, I've noticed that a lot of people are doing just the straight nails now, the flat nails. And once I start to file it and shape it and all that kind of thing, it just looks like my nail. I like it this way. So that's the reason why I'm not going to really go all hard. The underneath is pretty clean, you see. So there's not a waste of powder. The powder is still, you know, stays in here, other than whatever I get around my fingers that I dust off. But it's not the goop, and you don't have to constantly keep cleaning your brush on here, because your brush stays without getting any acrylic, so it stays flexible. All right. So now, as I was saying, it helps when you learn about the narcissist. And so with this particular guy, he called me up. I'm on a dating site. First of all, I'm on Scout, that dating site, and that's where he met me. And he put up this picture of this fine looking, well, he was a good looking Italian guy. And I'm looking at it because my thing is, now I've decided not to be offensive to anyone. If I offend anyone, I apologize, but this is how my life is going. I no longer want to date within my own race. I want to date interracially. It's not that I've not done it before. My children are mixed. I have Haitian children, half Haitian children. I have half Spanish. I have a half Spanish child, like, and I just prefer now not to deal with my own race, because until these guys decide that they want to do something better when it comes to me, I'm going to be dating outside of my race. Now, when I say outside of my race, technically it really isn't, because my mother's from Trinidad. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you guys, but she's mixed with Caucasian, Asian, and Indian. And so I technically don't look at it as dating outside my race per se, but people will look at that as me doing so. If, for instance, they see me with a white man or a Indian man or a Asian man, they'll consider that me dating outside of my race, because they can't really tell what I am or what I'm mixed with. Let me say it like that. Excuse me. I apologize, guys. I just had some coffee and must have loosened something. But anyway, so I was looking for, or am looking forward to dating an Asian male, or a Caucasian male, or an when I say Indian, I mean like you know, I don't care, Pakistani, I think it is, or someone from Afghanistan, I don't care, like an Indian male, or if they call that, you know, Indian. Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now in my dating, my dating preference. All right. And so at any rate, this guy showed, you know, he puts this picture up of this Italian guy. I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, okay, he looks nice. He's saying he's not too far from here. He's claiming that throughout our conversation through texting, number one, which is a big no-no for me as a grown woman. I'm no longer a teen. I don't do the whole texting thing unless it's like absolutely necessary. You know, you're at work or something like that, and you need to, you know, or you feel like you want to say something to me and we have to talk through text. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is constantly having to be on text messaging. So I was like, when we decided to exchange numbers after we, you know, text on the site, I expected that we would be talking, which would be the next step, like verbally over the phone. Instead, he's continuing to text message me. And I'm like, okay, that's a problem. And I tell him that, and then he calls me, but can only speak for like 5 minutes every time when we're talking. And I can clearly hear children in the background. And he's telling me that he has a daughter, but she lives in Texas, where he's supposed to be from. And the number, when I see the area code, does state that it's an area code from Texas. And so he had, like, I guess, you know how you keep your phone from another state and just bring it to the new state, so the number technically is still the same. And if you look up the area code, it usually is from whatever state you just came from. So that's what I looked at it as. So he said his daughter is in Texas with his sister, and she's being raised out there simply because now he takes a little while to tell me what he does for a living. And that's because I didn't ask what he did for a living. I didn't want to know because I don't care what he did for a living. To be honest, I really just did it. Just as long as how I look at this part is, if you're able to take care of yourself before I came along, you understand? I don't need to know how you're doing it. Unless it's like, you know, you're selling drugs or doing something illegal. You understand? I don't need to know how you make your money. And so that's not one of my first go-tos. I know a lot of people want to know, like, you know, all I need to know is, are you financially stable enough to take care of yourself, period. That's all I need to know. I don't necessarily need to know what you do right off the bat. And like I said, unless it's, you know, if you're doing something illegal, I can just ask that. You don't do anything illegal to make your money, do you? You know, and that's it. And if a person divulges what they do, that's fine. But if they're like, no, I don't, and then we just go on. And later on down the line, when I'm much more interested, if our morals, as we discussed yesterday or last night, if our morals and values click, then I'm good from there. All right, guys, that was the last application of the acrylic. So now I'm just going to wipe off my brush. And that's it. That's all you got to do with the brush. You don't have to go all cleaning it and whatnot, dipping it in stuff. And we're going to put back this acrylic liquid into the bottle like we did yesterday when I closed everything down, and we're done with that part. And you see how fast that was? Technically, you know, you guys watched me do the 2 sets of dipping. So that's 4 applications of the dip. And the nails aren't too thick. Let me show that. The nails aren't too thick, and they will be filed, so they'll come out a little thinner at the tips. And that's really the whole application process. Alright, put that back in there. Okay, good. I'm gonna have to get some more of this because both of my bottles are almost done for. But I won't be needing to do that anytime soon. I can do that after my birthday, like mad crazy after my birthday. Alright, anyway. So we continue to text, and then eventually, because I get kind of fed up with what he's doing, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to talk, bro. Like, we're gonna have to actually have a verbal conversation because now I'm starting to feel a certain kind of way. And so he obliges me. All right, now we're just going to smooth out the nails at this point. Okay, and I might not have to use the machine on this one today, but we'll see. All right, so yeah, he obliges me and we talk on the phone for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, he's, oh, I have to go to the gym and I can call you right before I go. And I have a trainer, so I can't be on the phone and yada blase blah. But already I'm feeling a kind of way about this dude, right? Because it's just obvious. It's like, it's really showing itself. And I hear, like I said before, I hear kids in the background, but hey, that could be him outside. That could be him on, the TV on. I don't know. So I'm not going to start jumping to conclusions straight off the bat. You never know. You could be like, still leery from the last, relationship you were in, and you're being overly cautious. Not to say don't be cautious, but don't be overly cautious. And I didn't want to be overly cautious because of what I had already dealt with. And this is the first time that I'm talking to somebody that I might be interested in, based that he's meeting some of my criteria so far, the most important parts of it. And then it was also that he told me his birthday after, okay, I didn't realize that he learned my birthday, because you have to put your birthday on your profile, much like you would do with Facebook. And so I didn't pay attention to the fact that that's where he got probably the ideal to say his birthday was also in October and his was on the 2nd. And I'll tell you how he messed up. The biggest mess up was in one of the text messages, and I always keep all my text messages so I can refer back to them later to see if anything has changed. That's another thing you should do. Has anything changed from the first time you all spoke? That's the part I think is probably good about being that it's on a text message, because you can always go back and listen to it. But I also tend to record my conversations, and you might think, oh, that's a little creepy. But it's really not. When you're first meeting somebody, now you have their voice, you have their phone number, you have text messages. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have a backup. And so it's not creepy to protect yourself, especially when it's us ladies out there meeting men for the first time or whatever. It's always good to have some sort of backup, So at any rate, I go back and look and see one of the messages he had sent me way in the beginning when I asked him when his birthday was, and he told me October 2nd, and he said 1974, which would have made him a year younger than me. And then later on, not too long after that, after I was like, oh, that's so cool, 1974, I'm a whole year older than you, and he said, oh, I meant to say 1972. That was the first, major absolute nobody gets their birth year wrong. I'm sorry, especially if you're already 40 something years old. You are not making a mistake on the date that you were born. So now that I know he was full of crap, I decided to string it along, because I wanted to see how far he was willing to go. And now I knew what he was about, and that he was full of crap. When I spoke to him, now mind you, he told me he had a really thick accent. And that people usually mess with him because of his accent. Sweetheart, an Italian accent and an African accent are two different things. And if you've ever spoken to an African, I've dated an African named Jack a long time ago, actually right before I had met my youngest son's father. And so I know for a fact that. And it was just like a little, small window that I dated this guy. But Jacques and his brother Pierre and his cousin Frederick, they all were roommates. They lived together, and Jacques had a French accent along with his African dialect, as well as Pierre and Frederick. They all had like an accent that you would not, you can recognize. So at any rate, when I spoke to him, I could tell that was the accent of an African man and not an Italian. I've dated one Italian man right before I had my last, second to last child, my son, that I told you guys I raised. So right before I had him, I was shortly and once again briefly just dating an older Italian guy. So I know, I went to his house, I hung out with his mom. I know, and you've seen certain movies. Then it's not always so thick like that, like you see in maybe The Sopranos and all that, but their accent is very, noticeable. So when he told me that, people mess with him because of his accent and all this, and that's the reason why he doesn't necessarily like to talk, on the phone. He said he spent 30 years in Italy. That's where his dad was from and all this other nonsense. And so when I spoke to him and I heard the accent, I was like, nah, this dude is definitely African. So now I'm going to string you along. You want to play games? Let's play games. I'm agreeing and all the I love you twos and all this because, yes, honey, he jumped from the one pot into another pot and both of them was boiling because he was just on it. Like, he was moving so fast, and it was so funny to me because I'm thinking, you really think you're slick, right? You really think you have me. And so I just play along. And I'm over here with the whole, yeah, I fell in love with you too at the moment I saw your picture and blah, 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 just like he was telling me. Basically, whatever he fed me, I fed it back to him. So that's how that went. And in the process of doing that, I just started having some fun with it. But I just like to also, at the same time, I was observing all of what he was doing and all of his moves and how he was basically doing it. And so it was like, hey, what do you like to do? And what are your ideals of, what is your ideal man? And so forth and so on. Women, do not answer that question. If he's your ideal man, you'll know it by his actions. Because if you tell him what your ideal man is, he's going to be that guy. Or if you men tell a woman what your ideal woman would be, she's going to be that woman. You understand? So don't do that. Don't tell a person, yeah, I like this. This is my dislike. These are my likes. They don't need to know all that. They'll find out. If they're that serious about getting to know you, they'll learn all that stuff by observing you. You understand? When they watch, you guys are going down the street and she or he is looking at somebody be cruel to someone else and they're making a really messed up face like, they really want to say something, then hey, they don't like people being mean to others. You understand? Like, you could pick up on these things. You just have to, if you're interested enough, you have to focus on that. And so that's basically what had happened. And it was so funny because I dragged it on for about 2 weeks before I just blocked him, because I could easily block a person. It's nothing to me. Like, anybody out there, y'all can block people if you know that they're full of crap. But I just wanted to string it along, and I learned a little something from it. And so it was just fun, and it was funny because he really just thought he had me. And even when I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this, this man was willing to. Oh, and by the way, he told me that he was a private investigator. That was another thing. That's the reason why his daughter was in Texas with his sister. That's the reason why she wasn't with him. His parents, mind you, during this COVID, both of them were murdered. Right after, this was after he told me that first. And then he told me later on that he called his dad, and his dad was so happy that he met me. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, didn't you tell me both your parents? And I said, why would you tell your father that? And he was like, oh, he's so happy for me. And I said, that's kind of strange, because I could have sworn you told me that both your parents were killed. And when I said that, he was like, oh, yeah. And I said, well, maybe you're talking about your stepdad. And he jumped right on it. So I was kind of feeding him too. I'm not going to lie. I was just feeding him his lies. And he jumped right on that. Yeah, it's my stepdad. I said, oh, okay, yeah, because that would make more sense, since, daddy's dead, he was murdered during the COVID. But, these people, they will go to any lengths to get you to, eventually. I nipped that part in the bud too, that whole money deal. I was like, look, I'm already strapped for cash, so I don't even give my children money. I don't even have to help my mom out with cash. Like, we don't have it like that. And so that was done. Excuse me. And I'm pretty sure down the line he probably would have told me some tragic thing, which he tried to do. Oh, my daughter needs an iPad. Now, if you're a private investigator and you're making all this buku dollars, there ain't no need for you to be asking me for any money. And that's the thing I don't quite understand, how people don't pick up on that. I know they be having these African people, when they call you up and they're trying to swindle you out of your money and whatever. I know they have like a hidden agenda, right? But normally they'll tell you that there's stuff like doctors or lawyers. It's always something that makes a lot of money. But then eventually they got people out here putting their, a second mortgage on their house and all kinds of stuff to give these people money. And I'm thinking, listen, I don't care you telling me that you have, kids and whatever, and your wife died, because that's another famous story, is my wife died. And of course, his wife had passed, giving birth to their daughter. Oh, that was another one. He told me his daughter was 3, going on 4. She'll be 4 in November, right? This is what he's saying. And then he turns around and says that his wife died 5 years ago. Y'all do the math. All right? So this is, you know, and mind you, she died giving birth to their daughter, and that's the only child he has. So y'all do the math. And this is the kind of stuff, because when he got excited, I guess, when he thought like, oh my gosh, you know, I got her and she's hooked and whatever. And I just started playing around with him, and I was picking up on all these things. But that's something, like I said, that the narcissist situations and the falsehoods of the relationships and all of the negative and the lies and so forth and so on that these people tell you while you're in a relationship with them, you can pick it up in someone else. I mean, that was one more obvious situation, because there's a lot of these guys out here trying to catfish women all day long. And a lot of them tend to fall for it. And I'm just like, no. So my next move was with him was to tell him I wanted to do a video chat. I want to see who I'm talking to, because what he was trying to claim was that on my birthday, he was going to come pick me up and take me out. Now, I'm not meeting a person regardless. I don't care who you are. I'm not meeting anybody without first seeing you. And we have the day of the video camera, you know what I'm saying? And I don't care where you're at or what you're talking about. If I want to see you, I will see you. And if I can't see you for whatever excuse you're coming up with, then we're good. Especially when it's something like a chat line and they have their pictures out and you don't know if that's a picture of them or a picture they stole from somebody else's you know, social media. And so I was like, nah, we gotta do a video chat. So I told him, I already had Skype on my phone, but I'm like, look, I downloaded Skype on my laptop just to talk to you. So we're gonna have to do this before we meet. And he was like, oh, of course, yeah, we'll do that. And I'm like, no. Then I keep pressing the issue. So what he did was, you guys know I told you I burned my sage in the morning. So I suggested, because after he knew about me burning my sage, I told him, he tells me on one morning, oh yeah, I burnt my sage this morning. And I said, well, you know what we could do the next time? We'll burn the sage together. I'll light mine, you light yours, and we'll do a video chat and we'll pray together. Well, he got very quiet about that, told me he had to go do his laundry. And then I was like, look, man, you know what? Every time I want to see you, you come up with an excuse to get off the phone, or you're too busy, or, you know, you try to find some kind of alternative, so you have to get off the phone, I'm pretty sure, to talk to whoever that's going to give you the advice on what to say next to keep me on the hook. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm good here. If we can't see each other via video tonight, like, it's over. And he kept on talking to me still, because he was not willing to let go of what he thought was a good fish. And I just ended up blocking him, and that was the end of that. But I did have my little fun first, and there was a little more that happened too, but it wasn't all that serious. But I just wanted to mention those particular points, because that part was really hilarious to me. It's like, you know, you're really trying your hardest to keep me on the hook, and you know you're losing me, so every time I mention having to do something, you have to go and consult someone, and you think I'm stupid. But I guess that's the head, you know, guy that gets all the girls or something, or is able to swindle women's money out of their pockets real simply, and he has to go to the master, you know, get the info. But it's too late, because I'm blocking you. We're done here. I'm finished playing. And, you know, I had a little good time right there. And it wasn't just for that. Like I said, it was also to learn from how these people are getting away with this. And this is what I don't understand. I don't understand the program Catfished. I don't understand that you're talking to somebody for all this time, and you guys, and with this, in this day and age, with all the technology we have, you guys can do Ben Verified. There's so many things, like there's so many ways, even if you couldn't do Ben Verified, which is I think $9.99, and you get a whole month or something like that for the first, you know, your first go around or whatever. Like, come on, man. And if you don't have any money, you can reverse phone look up on the white pages. Like, there's so much to be able to track somebody and find out, you know, who they are and what they're about. And I just say, use those things, use those tools, people. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a guy, use those tools. There are women out there catfishing the hell out of men too. There are, you know, same sexes catfishing each other. Like, it's really not cool. Like, there's too many ways. That's why I said, you know, when I started seeing that program Catfish, I was like, nah, this is fake. This has got to be fake, because there's no way that you won't know to go on some kind of site to see if this person is real. And then even if you do that, don't send your money to people. Why are you sending money to somebody you've never spent any time with other than a video chat? Or even let's say you had 60 video chats within 2-3 months. Every day you're talking to this person. Almost every day you're talking to this person and you're video chatting with this person and they're showing you their downtrodden life. That's all well and good, but guess what? You're not in a real relationship with this person yet. Yes, some people do have over, I guess they meet over videos or websites or whatever and turn around and end up in a deep relationship, end up meeting each other in person and all that. But that is a very rare situation. That does not happen for every single person. And with all of the scamming going on, especially during these times when everybody's going through financial hardships and trying to get help from the government, this is not the time to just be giving your money to people just because they say they're in a jam and you've been talking to them and you really like them and you hope that this is something real and that it'll work. You have to be sure of this person. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, if I have to take care of a man financially, I don't need that man. That's number one. Okay? I don't need that man. Because there are certain things that I do believe in, and I do believe in man, woman, and child. It starts off man, woman, and child. So I do believe that the man needs to be the head of the household to a certain extent, and he needs to step up and take care of his woman when certain things like that happen. Do I believe that this person that I just met online owes me any money because we're saying we're dating and we've just only been talking online? I don't think so. No. And I don't think that this person needs to pay for our first date either. Now, if he's willing to do so, and he's feeling like, hey, I'm a gentleman, I believe in paying for a woman, when we go on our first date or whatever, or our second date, or all the dates, that's him. And I'm not going to knock his hustle. Not saying that I'm trying to take anything from him. I will offer to pay my own way. I'll even offer sometimes. My thing is more cooking for a man. I don't really care too much for paying for dates outside. If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But for me, I'm more, we go on a picnic and I bring the food that I prepared. That's how I like it. And then everything else is like, we're going out and he wants to buy us ice cream while we're out or something like that, while we're walking. That's cool, And then other times if he wants to take me out on a nice date, that's all him, And I think that's a good balance because it's not that I'm getting all these free meals because he's getting a free meal when I cook my food. I'm not telling him, oh yeah, buy the groceries and I'll take them home and cook it and then we'll go out. I'm purchasing the groceries myself and I'm preparing it. He's just taking me to a restaurant and somebody else is preparing the meal, But I like that kind of thing. But I'm not going to pay for a man for anything. I'm not going to help him pay his rent. I'm not going to help him pay his car note. We're not in a relationship. I don't owe him that. You understand? And I don't care if we're talking about, oh yeah, we fell in love online. I don't owe him anything. That's online. That's not proof that he is a real person. That's not proof that he is who he says he is. He could be fully married and that's why he's doing this online thing and he's away from his family right now and staying wherever he stays in his second place. And that's how, because men have done that. It's not, and women too. They've done all kinds of things, still be married and lead you on and be doing all kinds of crazy nonsense. All right, I don't want to go too far with this, but you guys see now that this is how you basically shape the nails down. And then I was just shaping them a little more because this one wants to constantly be a little squared. And it also takes off of the little pieces, little ends and stuff like that come off. But yeah, so, don't get caught out there. There's too much stuff for us to be able to, as a human race, for us to be able to track a person and make sure they are who they say they are before we get ourselves involved in anything. Especially when it comes down to finances, because that always seems to be like the go-to for a lot of people. And don't get it twisted, because guys are always talking about how women are out there trying to take all their money and whatever, and men are out there trying to get women to have sex with them, and some men are out there trying to get women to give up their money. So it's everybody's doing something, and that when they're in that world, they're all doing something to get something for free, basically, without having to put much effort into it. And the thing is, you need a person, be them, like I said, male or female, you need to make them put in work to be with you, because you're that special. And when you learn all the things from being in these horrible relationships, you know what the signs look like. You actually need to apply them to your future so that you don't get yourself caught out there anymore and you don't get yourself hurt. Don't think I haven't met people through online, because like I said, I don't really do the, going out too much thing unless I have to. But when I do, and I've seen people looking at me or whatever, I'm just not really interested. And not only that, I tend not to really pay too much attention sometimes when I'm out and I have like a specific agenda while I'm out there. I don't really look around me to see who's looking at me and all this other kind of nonsense. So I'm not going to say nonsense, but all this kind of thing. So I just move around and do what I got to do, and then I get back to the house, and that's the end of that. So my best bet is, like I said, meeting people online. But that's a scary place in this day and age to meet folks. Alright guys, so now I'm going to go to the drill to just really smooth everything out, and I might have to take this one off because this is a really sander. They come with these little sanding pieces here, and you get a whole bag full of them. And then I just always fill this little deal right here up with them and just go use them from there. But being that I don't have to use this one, I'm just going to put it back in here because I thought I was going to need it. But these came out really, really good and don't require a whole lot of work. So I'm just going to leave that in there. And I'm going to put a smoother bit on here, just to bring down some of the let me see, not that one. What about that one? Yep, this one. Alright, just to bring down some of the or to smooth out the top and smooth, get a little thing going here. Alright, and so I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'll use this to really smooth it out really nice. But for right now, to make this go a little bit faster, I'm going to use the machine. And I'm going to turn that down too, because that sucker is up on the highest. Put it halfway. Alright. And this also, I'm going to just clean up around the cuticle area. And that's it. And so, yeah, when, with all, like I said, the technology, there should be nobody out here getting catfished. And if you've learned from your mistakes or learned from a past relationship what some people are out here and what they're about, you would know when you see it or when you hear it, you'll know. This person is full of crap. They're not real. They have a hidden agenda. Whatever that hidden agenda is, you don't have to fall for it. You don't have to give up anything of yours to have somebody in your life that's not necessary. It really is not necessary. And to let somebody do that to you over and over again will damage you in the future. It really will. And when you suffer from mental problems, it makes it even worse. Because some people just really don't care. They're going to put you through the ringer. That's what they do. That's how they live their life. They're sinister like that, and that's just what it is. And you just have to make sure that you cover your own self, Be careful out there. Don't let people take advantage of you. Alright guys, so this is what I do to clean up around it. There's a little more, and I still got to get that part off. And that's, that's it. That's it for this right here, and then I'll just smooth it out. So we're going to come back after I finish cleaning all of this up, and we're going to, and I already have smoothed it and everything, and we'll get to putting on the polish. Alright? Talk to you guys soon. Alright, y'all. I've already cleaned up the nails, filed them and all that. Put on some tea tree oil onto my hands. And then, well, it's a tea tree oil, vitamin E oil mix. From, remember guys, I showed you that I put that in my hair too, but it's also for skin. And I washed my hands, so the nails are already ready, and I'm just now putting on the top coat first, and then I'm curing it, as you can clearly see in the lamp. So I haven't done this side yet. I just did this side with the top coat. I'm sorry, base coat. I keep saying top coat. Sorry about that. It's the base coat. And the top coat's here. All right, so that's nice and cured. And I'm gonna do the other side. This stuff is really thick, so you really don't need a whole lot. You don't want to put too much anyway, because you want the nail polish not to look all thick. So you just put a thin layer of this on. And then you cure it in the lamp. Y'all know how to do this part, right? I think the nails came out beautifully. And I like the fact that the acrylic powder that I use, both the one that's for dipping and the Kiss Clear with the clear nails, helps it to look very pretty and nice and even. Don't get me wrong, when I did the let me cap that. When I did the natural nails, those were pretty too. Like, they came out really nice. I wish I could show you guys when I had those done, but I don't think I have a picture of those nails. I only have a picture of my natural nails. When they, right before I had to cut them all off, because they, like I said, just keep on splitting and breaking off. And then if like 2 fingernails break off on my hand, I very well cannot walk around with, you know, a broken nail on 2 fingers and the rest are long. It looks really ridiculous. And so I would just go to taking them all the way off. And that used to really break my heart, because the older I get, the longer it takes for my nails to grow out, my natural ones. And with that, it was like about a year worth of nail growth, which was this length. That's why I stick with this length, because I know how to work with this length. So it was a year and my nails were this length. And then that, the ring finger and the index finger on this one, the thumb on, and the, you know, pinky on the other hand. And it looked ridiculous, so I got to clipping them all off and started to do the acrylics myself. And I showed you guys, I started out with those white ones. I hated those. And then I went to doing the natural. I liked those a lot. That's when I did the stiletto nails. And it looks so pretty. And after I did, and that one, that's the time when I did my mom's nails and did her French manicure. But since then, I found the clear. I like the way it looks. I like the way they come out. I like the fact that they're very sturdy even before you put on acrylic. And I taught myself this. So this is not something I knew how to do in New York. I never did my own nails other than my natural nails in New York. And my nails didn't really start becoming very brittle until I was out here. And I'm supposing it's the heat from out here. And also, like I said, I got worse with my health and things like that, so it just really screwed my nails up big time. They were cracking, all kinds of stuff would happen. And so I had to teach myself to do these if I wanted my nails to be long, or what I'm used to. And I also do not like my nails to be short, because it makes my hands look even more, like my fingers look stubby and stumpy, and I'm just not feeling it. Whatever. But yeah, so that's basically how that goes. Now, I've already, as you can probably see here, I already set out my rhinestones that I'm going to use. I actually need to get one more big one. I forgot to get it. I'm going to put these just clear, because I was going to do a color or different colors, and started thinking, you know what, when I put my birthday outfit together, it's not going to have a whole lot of different colors. Excuse me. And I haven't really figured out what exactly I'm wearing on my birthday. Not that I'm going anywhere. I'm doing this all for me. Let me just put this under here while I'm talking, just to be sure that it's really good and cured. But anyway, all of this I'm doing just for me. So when you guys find out what you really love, and it doesn't have to be your birthday. It doesn't have to be a holiday. It could be just any day. Your ladies playing in the makeup, or doing your own nails, or doing your hair, or whatever it is that you do. Fellas, working on your cars, you know, riding your dirt bikes and doing new tricks. If you know how to, you know, finesse a dirt bike or whatever, or riding your you know, motorcycle or whatever. Just, you know, playing a sport, whatever. Make yourself happy. Make yourself happy first. Because when you make yourself happy first, then you're not looking for someone to come in and make you happy. You're not looking for someone to come in and fix your issues to make you smile and things like that. Smile because you're happy with what you're doing in your life. I was also going to do something else, which was I'm going to take and put this nail polish. I forgot to take it out. I'm going to put this nail polish because this one kind of sparkles, whereas this is more of just a shine. And I'm going to put this one on my ring finger on one hand, and my index finger, I think, on the other. And so that's how I'm going to do it. But we'll see what the mood, where the mood takes me, you know, in doing my nails. We'll see what happens with that. I'm going to put this other side back